Reproductive rights in India have long been an overlooked area of law, especially when it comes to issues like surrogacy, fertility treatments, and women's choices over their bodies. All of these are very sensitive topics, and yet the legal framework around them is still in the development phase. Hi, I am Shweta, and in this episode of Leadership Lounge with the CEO magazine, we have the pleasure of speaking with Advocate Radhika Thapar Bahl. She is the founder of Fertility Law Care. Radhika is one of the leading voices in the field of reproductive law in India. She has spent a decade working to ensure that women and families can make informed legal choices when it comes to fertility and reproductive health. So let's hear it straight from Radhika herself. Thank you so much for joining us today. And how have you been?
Hi Shweta, I'm good and doing great.
Okay. So before we get into the specifics of your professional journey, let's take a step back. So how was your early years and how was it like growing up? And did those early influences shape you in the person that you are today?
If I recollect my childhood memories, my father was a great influence on me. I was a very obedient child. He motivated me a lot. At that time, even in today's time, it's very relevant where people don't want to have daughters, right?
Yeah.
I am the second female child in the family. And in Punjab, I'm basically from Punjab, and everybody, instead of congratulating on my birth, was kind of, not very happy that the son is not born. But my father never let that, get into our minds and all that. And he was very happy. And he always told me, you are no less than a son. And that's how, my base and my, emotional, teachings from him till, for education, he said, sky is the limit. And if you wish to pursue anything and any dream, for that matter, I had to do law. And way back then, people were like telling him, you're putting her in a field which is very male dominated.
Yeah.
But it never crossed his mind like that. He's always said, it doesn't matter. She'll do something and I'm very sure about it. So his influence was very much. And focus, he always used to say, your focus should be, towards your goal.
You not just only chose law, but you chose to work in a very specialized sector within law itself. So, could you tell us what drew you to fertility and reproductive law in the first place? Was there a moment or situation that made you decide that this is what I want to do?
It never crossed my mind, when I was studying that I have to do this particular stream. As a student, you just want to excel whatever you're doing. I happened to pursue masters in law also, and I really studied constitutional law with, proper focus. And so I was knowing that few aspects of law are very, very critical. Women, children, in policy matters, government bring very, legal way, legal framework, which is very relevant, which is very strict, has to be abided. Having said that, that was never, there when I started, my professional journey also. I was pursuing, normal law, learning the curve, learning civil law. Civil law was basically I was into.
Yeah.
And try to learn, whatever was coming my way. And incidentally, there was this one case which came my way where somebody was wanting to do surrogacy in India and had no legal clue. I took it seriously because I was knowing, as I've told you, I've done a constitutional background. I was knowing it's a relevant thing for me to do. And I never knew that one case I'll take it up and it will become, this way for me.
So you set up Fertility Law Care in 2012, and that was a time when topics like surrogacy and fertility rights were not even discussed openly.
Yes.
Even now, it is not very discussed openly. because we live in a culture that a very traditional culture. India has very traditional culture, and we don't discuss surrogacy and fertility. So, setting up your firm, was it difficult at that time?
Yes, indeed, it was difficult. These are private matters. Usually, it's a matter between husband and wife.
Yes.
Even at times, the extended family will not be knowing what is the reason of not having a child, or there are reproductive issues. The way men in India behave, they would not even come in the open. Apart from that, to educate even the service providers was a task for me,
Okay.
the ones who wish to avail these services, but at the same times, the medical fraternity, they were also not aware about the, relevance of these, legality around it. But I was, as I told you, I was very much convinced that what I'm doing, I'm going in the right direction. I'm working for the women, I'm working for the society. Today it may not sound relevant, but tomorrow it would. And here we are in 2012 with a very specific agenda in my mind. I established this so that people resonate with the name Fertility Law Care, and they understand it's a legal care around their reproductive rights, and I wanted to voice it up.
In your experience within marriage, society, and within the law itself, how much control do women have on their reproductive rights? Based on your experience, can you tell that from the time that you have started till today, have we moved forward at all?
So let me start like this. The first part of your question is that how much are we aware of women has a choice or a voice in that space? Still a large part of India, the society, we should not construct our world, the place where we are living and how evolved we are. When I'm answering this question, I'm taking the entire India as a whole, right? Where we know that, still a large population of women are not educated. They're still fighting for their basic rights. So in that space, yes, women has a very, very limited choice. In the educative sector, where the women have evolved, has got some education, I would not say that there is no voice at all. They have, gathered some sort of voice for themselves, but still that field is, long way to go. And especially how it happens in India is that, the influence of families also work a lot on the mindset of a couple. When you are staying, you have, even if you're not in today's times staying day in, day out with your in-laws or your extended families or your parents for that matter, not only the in-laws, even the girl side parents also, their influence, if not interference, is pretty much till date, right? So the same repetitive question of, when are you going to have a child? What are your plans on, starting a family? These kind of things I certainly see, play a lot of part in them making a choice, whether they want to go ahead or not. And yes, we have moved forward. So when I started, there were a lot of Western people who were more interested to know about these laws. Now, Indian masses and people are also coming up to be more aware. But again, still we are at the very beginning juncture of the journey.
When new laws are made around surrogacy or art, so do you believe that women voices are heard?
So Indian laws, whenever you make laws, now we have adopted a legal framework, right? Any law which has to be brought into, an act or a legislation for that matter, has a certain process and certain framework. So government does follow that in terms of seeking public opinion. There are these laws put up in the public domain. They are discussed with the public. Public opinions are heard. And the representatives at the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha level of a particular section are also heard. So in that space, I would not say that they've not been heard. But again, I also would say that the law needs certain amendments for sure, certain modifications for sure, because there is a perspective of the government also which plays a part when they're making a law. So in real sense, there are certain problems which are not that well captured under the law.
The Surrogacy Act, I believe first time it came, it was 2016, I believe, and then it was amended, and again it was made in around, I'm not exactly sure about the year, but at that time I read that it was only people who are women who are related to the couple who were allowed to be surrogates. How do you believe that that would help people?
As I told you, I mean, my experience is way more, I mean, more than 15, 16 years. It's nearly now 2 decades I'm in this field. So basically, I would suggest that initially the law, the first legislation draft which came into picture was in 2008 and then 10.
Okay.
And it was pretty liberal at that point in time. Gradually, the sort of, issues that came up in front of the government, and then the governments changed, right? So in that space, when the 2016 draft was made, now the government wanted it to be non-commercial, so that there is not business done on basis of renting a home or sort of things are not looked up well. So in that space, government thought it is a family member or related member should help, but that was later on withdrawn by the government or amended, because that's not a possibility, because within the family, how kind of structures now it is today. So people are at times open to seek help from an unrelated person than from within the family. So that was not a feasible possibility, and I'm glad government heard the voices and amended it accordingly. So now any willing woman, whether she's related or she's unrelated, can help you for surrogacy.
You have handled so many cases in your journey, and there are times when what is legally right might be morally or ethically wrong. So have you ever faced a situation like these when what was considered legally right was morally wrong? And if you had, how did you dealt with?
Well, largely, now morals, so let me compartmentalize like this: morally, ethically, and legally. In terms of providing services, we ensure that we are very ethical in the way we approach a case, right? So that's our code of conduct, which goes, in providing a service to a client in a very, very ethical, legal, ethical way. Now, morally is something which is already, while the law is being made, they've decided on this is morally okay or this is not morally okay, basis which a transition into a legal aspect is being done, right? So that part, as a lawyer, we just have to focus on the legal. So this way, we are excused or exempted to, look into things which are morally right or wrong. And when you're a service provider, now you are at a very different platform. Whenever I'm dealing with a case, I never put my personal, interest or my personal understanding into it, right? Your personal inclinations for that matter. Because I may accept a certain way of living in my personal life, but which may not be acceptable to my client in his or her personal life. So I'm no one to decide on somebody else's this. So this is a position which gives you really, and I'm really glad, while you're working for the society, you really have to upgrade yourself. You really have to disconnect with your personal inclinations. That's how you can help people. So I only look at the legal side, try to provide the best ethical services we can do that, and if we are able to do that, we are really doing a good job, I believe.
I have read that you have been part of shaping the Art Act. Okay, so from where you stand today, what's still missing from the law that you think should be included or excluded?
See, when you're saying shaping, yes, when I told you it was brought in the public domain, and the government also here, industry stakeholders, lawyers to doctors to, people who want to help, donors, surrogates, they do give them an opportunity to be heard. And in that particular space, fertility preservation is one aspect which I felt, is really missing. And I'm glad the government heard about it. Another thing which I really feel is should be, now with the coming of Data Information, Act, right? So that I wanted it to be a part of it, because a lot of confidential data goes here and there about person's personal care about that. And certainly, some aspect of, the law is little ambiguity there in certain clauses, right, of the laws. And a uniformity in practice. Now what happens is, there are states, there's a central government. Now this central law has to be implemented by state, so there is a bit of disparity, uniformity is not there. So these kind of things need to come in a better shape, and some sort of better provisions in terms of, like Supreme Court said, there has to be some sort of compensation given to these people. So that aspect should be looked into by the government.
Fertility struggles, as you mentioned, that it takes a lot of toll on the couple and the family. So have you noticed mental health becoming a common recurrence in the cases that you handle?
When you have a problem which is not coming to a resolve, right? Or whether it's a medical resolve or which you're not able to find, or an emotional resolve. Sometimes even the partners, they go in different directions. So at that time, it's your mental health that takes a toll. And I do feel, a lot of patients, repetitive abortion cases, right? Repetitive, IVF failures. Girls at a very young age have few problems related to reproductive, organs. So all that does play a part on the mental health. So that's why, it's a very sensitive field to practice. You need to have empathy also with them.
Like you mentioned that while handling these cases, you need to have a lot of empathy. So on a personal note, how do you take care of your emotional well-being while handling these cases, as their nature is very sensitive?
When we try to impart something or provide the services, the reflect also does come on us. First of all, the very key is, providing as much as possible, transparent services. So a stress goes out, when you are being transparent with your client, right? So you tell him this is where your case stands and this is what you are doing and these are the timelines, probable timelines. And so these kind of aspects, and a sort of clear information. Luckily today we have a lot of people are educated. I'm so glad and happy that in our times, the clients that you're meeting on the ones who are taking your services on the other side are educated lot. You can make them understand in a better way, right? And gradually people do understand, over a period of time, that what we have told them, and it's actually happening that way, right? So that helps me to keep my mental sanity, because some sort of unintended pressures also bring a lot of stress on a professional. But I think over a period of time, we lawyers are a bit hard souls, right? So if we have to fight for somebody's right, we have to prepare our soul accordingly.
Yeah. Would you feel comfortable sharing a case anonymously, of course, that really challenged you?
There is one particular case I would like to mention. There was this couple who, when India banned, foreigners from coming in 2015, there was a ban. First, even the OCIs were not. So there was a couple which came to India, got the services done, had a child. Later, nobody helped them. They got stuck. And the embassy was not ready to give them citizenship, their own government. Indian government was not ready. They had left with no paperwork. And it was COVID times, so they were not knowing where they had to go. So after a year and two, they got to know about me. They came to me. By that time, they've already exhausted a lot of funds, right? Because they are in India stuck with a newborn baby. And we then thought them, we have to start a journey to bring this up in the courts and everywhere and to make you exit. But it is going to take time. They reposed faith in us, and we then started their journey. But during 6 months, during the course of, we are fighting for them, that the patient contracted cancer. Right. So the husband had malignancy, and now only the lady who's not knowing anything about India, how to help, running to hospital, taking care of a newborn, and then fighting as if she's feeling she's stuck. So it nearly took me 1.5 years to make them exit India. Now they are back. Their family is back. luckily the guy also, she felt that husband would not survive, but with God's grace husband also survived, and they are back home now. And I really feel, that was really a challenging time for us.
Infertility is still a taboo in India. So are there some myths or misconceptions that you wish people would challenge?
That is true, but one single fight would not help. This kind of sort of aspect would help if we sensitize the masses. The more India will get educated, that will help to, improve these sort of personal issues, the support of the family. I would, but through this mode, would request the family to understand that it's not always your daughter-in-laws or the daughters who would have problem in the body. There are, issues with the males also. And if you're building a family unit, it is your collective effort, right? Or a husband and a wife. The more awareness we will, create around this topic, and the better it would become. Health department should come forward. The way we are, nowadays we promote, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, right?
Yeah.
And we should also come up with these slogans.
Instead of just making the regulations,
there has to be some sort of, information which health ministry or health department should put up in the public domain, right? So that, even, it travels down. When it is coming with a scientific reason, it makes more sense than anybody talking about it without any, backing of science. So I think that will create an impact. And all these things are ever evolving process. We need to continuously to build a society, to build a progressive society. It's a continuous effort. So all the industry stakeholders, all the person who are practicing, need to work on that.
Looking back at your journey, were there any people that really influenced you into the person that you are today?
My husband has certainly been very supportive towards this cause, and I am a very strong-willed person. I would like to put it like this. There were a lot of challenges. There were a lot of challenges in my own personal space, and I really took everything in a stride, right? This shall also pass. Anyways, I have 2 children. I gave birth to 2 daughters, right?
Okay.
And at times, I have to drive down. I used to make my daughter sit in the car, put the seat, and, take the baby in the client's place, put the baby, do the meeting, take the baby back home, and all those memories resurface me. And very tough profession, as I've told you. I start walking this line, and there were people who were thinking in the family, what has she opted for, is it going to come in the mainstream ever? But I had conviction, I had that. And I don't know whether I've ever mentioned it to you, but I am from a freedom fighter family, right?
Okay.
I am the granddaughter of Sukhdev, who got martyred with Bhagat Singh, right? So that family I hail from, and we are brought up with a lot of principles in our life, and the strong. I'm again mentioning, I don't know, how should I express it? But a very simple phrase: where there is a will, there is a way. Whenever I used to feel helpless, whenever I used to feel down, this thing, wherever there is a will, there is a way, right? So I always try and focus till date now also. We do get challenges, life is all about, your journey, then the challenges that you get, and then you try and scale them up. So no challenge should be taken as that it is as big as, that it becomes, a wall, ahead of your dreams. But yes, I do thank my husband a lot.
Law has traditionally been a male-dominated field. And at the time that you decided to join the profession, even at that time, there were not many girls who chose law as their subject. So were there any difficulties in the space because you were a woman?
While we were studying, I always saw there are a lot of girls and, fellow colleagues, fellow classmates, I would say, doing really well. They were very bright. They were maybe more bright than what I am, and I saw them really working hard and, appearing for exams, excelling in that. But I felt, somewhere, the voices that I used to hear around is that, women will study tomorrow and will get married, and I never used to like that, I used to feel why such voices are around, and till you don't get married, you sometimes don't believe, that this is also a reality where maybe few people are saying that. So till you get married, and after then when people feel okay, if you are moving ahead, marriage ke baad bhi, if you are moving on your career, okay, let the children happen, phir pata chalega, So then I took that challenge also. So again, I've told you, women, yes, the girls who studied with me, few of them are following this passion also, but most of them, I see them getting married or deviating into another things. So this actually field is male dominating. I want more and more women to come forward and, contribute, because today educated women are, pretty much there, and we can do everything that man can do. So I think more and more women should come in this field.
When it comes to building the next generation of leaders in your field, how important is mentorship?
Mentorship has a lot of role. I'll take you back to Mahabharata, right? These are the epics. We must read them, understand them, watch them, whichever way. अर्जुन के साथ लॉर्ड कृष्ण ना होते तो आज महाभारत कुछ और होता, राइट? द्रोणाचार्य ना होते तो आज महाभारत कुछ और होता. So these are the mentorship, the torch bearers. And what are you as parents? I am in this field and I little deviate from what we are talking. We are at the end of the day life to bring another life on this earth, which we feel possession. I have given the terminology as a parent, So we are on this earth as a planet. We have to make this planet go on. That's our responsibility. And I have to get another person on this earth if I feel. So that's what basic reproduction is, right? And we sort of, in our own evolution as a society, made it, mother-daughter, mother-son, parent-child relationship, and their essential reasons for very different reasons. So mentorship, we are actually torch bearers and mentors for the coming generation. So that's the role. That's how society will be built. The more, the better the mentors are. A mentor knows how to get the skill out of a person. So I believe, yes, mentorship is very, very important, and it has a huge role in that. So our teachers, our, all the guides and the coaches, they have a very important role in their respective fields.
If you could change the way India talks about motherhood, both in legal sense and cultural sense, what would that conversation sound like?
So it is more like parenthood, I would say, rather than motherhood, right? Let's understand that it has to be a 50-50 partnership in our relationship, right? Childbearing is not a sole, mother's effort. And hence yes, the emotions are there and should be there, whether you're a father or a mother. But it should not be taken in a space like, motherhood a lady has to do everything for a child. It has to be a parenthood, and that's what should be the focus of any debate.
Let's switch things up a bit and have a little fun with a rapid fire round.
Sure.
One legal myth you would love to bust.
Pretty faces get, judgments fast.
Tea or coffee during the long work hours?
Tea.
A mantra that you live by when things get tough?
Where there's a will, there is a way.
Okay, so that was fun. Now, before we wrap up, I just have a couple more questions for you. What kind of legacy do you hope Fertility Law Care leaves behind?
Have a society with progressive laws around, women, where I am able to spread enough awareness for women to, start making their reproductive choices, and for the younger generation to have benefit of the laws in their reproductive space.
One piece of advice for young women or law students who want to make a real difference in the law or in niche areas like that you are operating in?
So to the young budding lawyers, I would say that, you really need to first of all understand the fundamental. If your fundamental skills, of any subject, whether you're doing engineering, law and all that, that I at times see missing, you really need to hone your skills in every space, your speaking skills should be good, your and start taking challenges. Just try and take challenges. Our field is like that, so don't stop yourself from taking challenges, getting into newer domains, laws, in trying and analyze government policies, picking up the brains from, globally the legal situations, and be there, whenever you feel that there is a voice which needs to be taken up.
What does being featured in the CEO magazine mean to you, especially in a field where strong voices like yours are so important?
First of all, I thank CEO magazine for, choosing me to be a part of their magazine. So CEO magazine, I believe, bring up the stories which inspire people. In today's time, motivation and inspiration has its own role. So when your reach is there, when you're making people aware about the people who have carved a niche in a particular field, I think being a part of such prestigious magazine is an honor to me, and yes, I'm really looking forward to be a part of it.
How important do you think platforms like the CEO magazine are for shining a light on professionals working in specialized and often overlooked areas?
Yes, this is very, very important, because how would people get to know that I'm working in this particular field if if magazines like these would not reach out to me? We specialize in a field where pan-India people, you may be hailing from a small town or maybe a big city. You may be sitting next door to me, but you might not be knowing who I am, what I am working on, and you are looking for somebody who can give you this sort of advice in this particular field. So hence, again, I've told you, the reach, the awareness through magazine, and telling the people that if they have, I am in a way reaching through you to the people,
Yeah.
and that's why I also wanted to be a part of it, because I really want people to understand that reproductive laws have today a lot of things to be understood, from female feticide aspects to medical termination of pregnancy to surrogacy to willingly opting IVFs, to fertility preservation of young girls. Your daughters want to today focus on their careers, and so on and so forth. There's a lot that you must understand before you want to go into this domain.
It has been a real pleasure talking to you. The work that you are doing is amazing, and I really hope and wish you all the very best for your future.
Thank you so much.
And I got to learn so much from you today. Even I was not aware on the topic, and you clarified so many things to me too.
Yeah, thank you, Shweta, and it's been a delight for us for being a part of the magazine.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.